Welcome to the Self-Love Lifestyle Podcast. My name is Melanie Monaco, and I hold certifications in intuitive eating, integrative nutrition, feminine energy healing, yoga, and more. My mission is simple: to help women transform their bodies and lives with self-love. I've worked with women all over the world and learned a lot along the way, and I am so excited to share it all with you here. This is a wellness-centric, motivational, and transformational podcast that will give you the tools you need to cultivate more self-love through nutrition, movement, mindset, personal development, spirituality, and beyond. I'm so grateful to have you here. Now let's do this. Welcome to the Self-Love Lifestyle episode 2. I am so happy to be recording this for you today. I'm sitting here in my home and I feel really inspired to share the topic that we're going to talk about today with you because I was just chatting with clients about this last night, and I know how transformational this mindset can be. I was also just on Facebook and in a group where women were talking about how intuitive eating failed them. And they were saying things like, oh yeah, I tried to just forego diets and I, gained a bunch of weight and I'm going to work that off. And, it didn't work for me because I have no self-control. It didn't work for me because I'm an emotional eater. And these are things I hear all the time. And intuitive eating, if you listened to episode 1, then you'll know, the basics of intuitive eating, but essentially it's not about, just binging and letting yourself eat, quote, whatever you want. It is so much more about listening to your body and responding appropriately. Those are two different things. Definitely remove the rules around food. We don't have to put food into a good category or bad category. Food is what it is. You can have positive and negative or pleasant or unpleasant reactions to food, but that's very different than looking at food as inherently good or bad. So first and foremost, I think that it's really important to, as you start navigating intuitive eating, to remove that baggage that you have attached to food. Because if you go into intuitive eating still holding on to this baggage around food and just letting yourself go off the deep end with your, quote, bad food, then you're still in a restrictive mindset. Though you're not actively restricting your diet, you're still looking at food as good or bad. And when we restrict something, even just in thought, we are going to binge. And so it's really critical to, instead of allowing yourself to eat whatever you want, focus more on not so much what you're eating, but why you're eating and how you're eating. And so if you're somebody who struggles with this, and perhaps you've heard about intuitive eating and you're not sure if it will work for you, or you're not sure how to begin down that road, this is the bridge. And a lot of intuitive eating experts might disagree with me, and that's okay because we all have our practices and protocols and things that work for us and our clients. But I found this to work for me and for my clients. In the past, when I first started down the self-love road and I decided to give up dieting, I did gain a bunch of weight and I was unhappy in my body at that point in time. And it wasn't until I had the realization that I was still not listening to my body that I was able to finally settle at my happiest weight, that I was able to finally experience full self-love. The first time I did this, I had just started dating my now husband. And I think because I was, so happy and so in love, I felt like I didn't have to try to look a certain way to gain the attention of others or to prove anything. Because now I have a boyfriend and now I'm worthy, which is I know messed up, but I'm sure some of you can relate. This is just our culture puts these stories on us that if we don't look a certain way, we won't be attractive to the people that we want to attract. So I think once I was able to release that story, and then also just realizing that somebody could love me unconditionally that gave me permission to love myself unconditionally. But in the first few years of our relationship, I did let myself like stop counting calories. I was still really active. Like I was a yoga teacher still, and I was teaching Zumba and group fitness and still eating pretty healthfully, but I was overeating. And I also was eating foods that my body doesn't thrive on because I still wasn't listening to my body. And I hope that I'm being clear and that you're able to grasp the difference. So, like, at this point in life, I was still being like, oh, I'll just allow myself to like eat as many carbs as I want to. And I'll allow myself to like eat dessert all the time. And now I still can eat however many carbs I want to, and I still can eat dessert all the time if I want to. But the thing is, I don't want to. Not that carbs are bad; carbs are really good for you. But I'm thinking more about like processed carbohydrates that I know my body doesn't thrive on. Like I was then personally, I know my body doesn't thrive on bagels, but I was eating bagels all the time and feeling sluggish and feeling like really heavy and drained and low energy. And now I know like I can have a bagel anytime I want to, but I just don't crave it because of the way it's going to make me feel. Now, that's a pretty classic view on different kinds of foods and how they interact with your body, but everybody is different. Like my husband, for example, his body thrives on foods like bagels. His body thrives on meat. My body doesn't, and your body is different as well. So keeping that in mind. And now I know, like when I started to listen to my body, when I started to really go deep down intuitive eating and also incorporating integrative nutrition, because that is my background, I was able to start responding to my body with a whole new level of awareness and care. And it did not feel like I was restricting anything. It felt more like I was empowering my body and energizing my body. It's a fine line and it's a process to get there. So, how do we get there? That's what this is all about. This protocol is the bridge, in my opinion. And again, I don't think a lot of intuitive eating experts would agree with me, but I think this is an amazing bridge that is going to allow you to move from diet mind to intuitive eating with as much ease as possible. And it is the 80-20 lifestyle. So this is huge. And this is something I recommend to all of my clients and is what got me out of dieting. Even though some people might view the 80-20 lifestyle as a diet, it's not. And here's why. So I feel like a lot of people look at 80-20 and they think, oh, 80% of the time I can be good and 20% of the time I'll allow myself to be bad. But here's where I change it up. And here's why it's not a diet. 80% of the time, I'm going to do my best to choose what I call body nourishing foods. Foods that I know my body will thrive on. Foods that I know will allow me to feel energized. 20% of the time, I will choose foods that nourish my soul. Those are, when I'm on vacation and traveling, like, I was just in Maine a couple weeks ago where my husband's family lives, and I was eating like freshly locally made cinnamon rolls. Is that something I would normally eat? No, because if I ate it every day, I would feel sluggish and I would get a sugar high and it would just wreak havoc on my system. But like that was soul nourishing. And I enjoyed every single bite. And this is the magical part. I enjoyed it without guilt. Like that's what I think the 80-20 really allows you to do. It allows you to remove guilt from the equation in your relationship with food. And before when I was previously releasing dieting and gained all that weight and was experiencing breakouts and digestive issues and sleep issues, I still had guilt attached to food. So now I don't have any of those issues and I don't have guilt attached to food. And 80-20, I did a summer where I was pretty like aware of my 80-20. It was leading up to my wedding. And I wasn't calculating it to a T. I was not writing my food down and being like, how much room have I done for the 80? How much room do I have for the 20? It wasn't anything like that. It was more just approaching it as like a holistic, weekly, maybe even monthly mindset of like, oh, you know what? I have had like a lot of soul nourishing foods that haven't also been body nourishing. So maybe, today or tomorrow or this week, I'm going to really prioritize nourishing my body. And notice how that's different from like dieting language. Notice how that's different from, oh, I went off the deep end and now I'm never going to eat cheese again. Like it's such a different approach, but I think that it is close enough to where it's easier to manifest and digest, pun intended, than just being like, okay, I'm going to allow myself to eat whatever I want. Like, this is a much easier, simpler, kinder way to slide into intuitive eating. And so what happened for me and now what I see happening with my clients, I'm serious. I've taken so many women through this protocol and it works every single time. Are you feeling stuck in a body you don't love? Or unable to find lasting motivation to maintain a healthy lifestyle? Or maybe you feel like you're constantly fighting against your body in order to transform how you look or feel. I know exactly how that goes, but to be honest, 95% of diets fail, and it's really not your fault. The problem is not the food that you're eating or the amount that you're exercising, but it's how you're relating to your body and food. And I'm here to share with you that there's a way for you to have the food that you love and a body you love without the dieting, over-exercising, or calorie counting, because that doesn't even work anyway. I've created a roadmap utilizing everything I've learned in my certifications from intuitive eating, integrative nutrition, energy healing, yoga, fitness, and more. And it's an intuitive wellness roadmap that's going to give you a personalized step-by-step approach to cultivating a body you love unconditionally and the freedom to eat without guilt. In a 30-minute video call with me, we're going to look at your goals not only for your body, but also your life. Because the truth is, you could eat only kale and exercise every single day, but if you're not nourished in all areas of your life, you're not going to be happy or healthy, right? So then we're going to uncover what's been holding you back from living the life of your dreams. We're going to look at the belief systems that are in place, the stories that you're telling yourself, and maybe even lingering ideas of who you think you should be that are detaching your self-worth. And I want to then give you a personalized step-by-step roadmap to becoming the happiest, healthiest, and most confident version of yourself so that you can live purposefully and in alignment with the best version of you. Through utilizing the proven strategies and tools from all my certifications, you're going to have a guide to reaching your goals, whatever they may be. If you want to tap into the power of intuitive wellness, discover how to effortlessly nourish your body and your soul, and cultivate a body you love unconditionally, then head to my website, melaniemonico.com. That's melaniemoniaco.com to book your free call now. I would love to chat with you soon, so make sure to hop on my calendar while there are still spots available. So what happens is that you go through the 80-20, by doing this, you're changing the way you're looking at food. You don't look at pizza or whatever, classically, quote, bad food as bad anymore. You look at it as soul nourishing. And that just removes all of that restriction and guilt around the food, and you'll likely end up eating the appropriate amount for your body rather than binging on it or feeling guilty afterwards. And eventually you move through this, you're changing your relationship to food in the ways I've said, and then you stop calculating the 80-20 altogether. You stop totally existing in that space. You no longer need to even think about it in those terms because you're just thinking about nourishing your body and soul. And it's like a Venn diagram. So you have the 20% soul nourishing, 80% body nourishing, and then there's this amazing space that's both body and soul nourishing. And that's where the real magic happens. And the more that you figure out what your body thrives on, the more you connect to your body, the more you enjoy nourishing your body, the more your body nourishing foods are going to also nourish your soul. And when you find foods that nourish both your body and soul, my friend, like food becomes so much more enjoyable. Not only that, your body changes, not only that, but your life changes, and you're able to experience eating in a whole new way. Family dinners, holidays are no longer a space for you to feel guilty, are no longer a space of anxiety, are no longer a space for you to forego taking care of your body because you're not looking at food in that way. So 80/20, I think, is just this phenomenal, easy bridge that will get you from diet world to intuitive eating world. And so you can start to just practically apply this by asking yourself when you have food in front of you, is this food going to nourish my body or is this food going to nourish my soul? And if it's not going to nourish either, then why would you nourish your body that, or like, why would you eat it? There's no reason to. Okay, so that makes food choices so much easier. And if it does nourishes your soul, then you're immediately removing guilt around it because, my friend, it's nourishing your soul. And if you are not nourishing your body and nourishing your soul, you won't be happy and you certainly won't be healthy. So nourish your body, nourish your soul, choose foods that do both. And if you're still struggling to conceptualize this idea, or if you're trying to calculate it down to a T, just come up with like a few ideas of foods that you know nourish both your body and soul, and gravitate towards those foods as much as possible. Those, and then expand. What else can you fit in there? What other foods fit in that space of body and soul nourishing? And just allow yourself to think about food in that way. Like rather than focusing on calories or carbohydrates or fat, tracking your macros, think about food in this energetic way. And body nourishing foods are the foods that allow you to feel energized. If you're like, I don't know what kind of food my body thrives on, I don't know what kind of food I should be eating, I guess I shouldn't be eating carbs. I guess I shouldn't be eating fat. Like, stop listening to what other people are telling you to eat and what not to eat. Start listening to your reactions to food. So just notice, you don't even write it down, though you can. I'm not saying like track your food. I'm saying track your reaction. So if next time you have a meal, just notice, do I feel energized? And it's not only what you're eating, it's also how you're eating. So are you eating an appropriate amount to your body? And if you're overeating, is that because you are looking at this food as bad? Is that because you've restricted this food? Is that because you waited too long to eat? That's a big one. You have to honor your hunger throughout the day. Check in with your hunger every 2 hours. Set a timer on your watch, on your phone, whatever. And before the meal, check in with your hunger on a scale of 1 to 10. In the middle of your meal, when your plate is half full, check in with your hunger on a scale of 1 to 10. At the end of your meal, check in with your hunger on a scale of 1 to 10. And without judgment, like, am I feeling pleasant, neutral, or unpleasant? And if you're feeling unpleasant, then now you've learned something. And now you can make a different choice next time. And what a gift that is, that you've now learned something new about yourself. And so as you navigate the body nourishing foods, continue to think about what is going to allow me to feel energized. I'm sure you have an idea. And if you don't, experiment with different foods. Some of the foods that I've noticed to be the most likely to be energizing for people are plant-based foods, so obviously vegetables, but fruits even. I know a lot of people have a fear around fruits. Release the fear. Fruits are so good for you. You need them. They have all of the vitamins and minerals that your body needs, protein, fiber, antioxidants, and other unique and powerful nutrients that support a broad range of your bodily functions. Like, you need those things to survive. And then you also need, obviously, protein, but you don't have to overdo the protein. Protein just find the appropriate amount for yourself. If you're feeling heavy, if you're having a slow digestive system, reconsider protein or reconsider your sources of protein. Legumes like peas, kidney beans, chickpeas, snow peas, nuts, seeds, almonds, chia. Those are all great sources of protein. Carbohydrates are like, with cars, you have to put the gas in the car to get it to go, unless you have an electric car, which if you do, congratulations. I love you. Thank you so much for your contribution to the environment. But, it's like carbohydrates are our fuel. You have to have carbs. Forget the days of fearing carbs. Your body uses carbohydrate-rich foods to make glucose, which is your body's main energy source. Glucose is a type of sugar that can be used right away for energy or stored away to be used later. And whole food versions of carbohydrates will have more nutrients and will be a better, healthier source of energy. So examples of really body nourishing carbs are sweet potatoes, legumes, which also have the protein, whole grains, those are really amazing things. And healthy fats are also phenomenal for your brain and your body, and things like avocados, nuts, seeds, cold pressed oils, nut butters. They help you absorb nutrients. You need fat to absorb your vitamins. So just make sure that you are paying close attention to how you react to these kinds of foods. And what is a pillar of my practice, one of the huge pillars of my practice, is bioindividuality. And that means every body is unique. So what works for somebody won't work for anyone else. Forget the days of following a step-by-step meal plan. Create your own meal plan. Newsflash, you cannot fail at a meal plan you create for yourself based on your needs, and that you allow to be flexible with your unique needs. Depending on, if you're a woman, where you are in your menstrual cycle, that's going to have a huge impact on how you're digesting food. Depending on what your days are like, what projects you have going on, where you are, what's happening in your mind, what's happening with your emotions, all of these things make a huge impact in how we're assimilating nutrients. So take all of that into account as you learn what kind of food your body thrives on, as you start to incorporate more body nourishing foods. It's not about taking things out, it's about adding things in. What body nourishing foods can you add into your life to make up that 80%? And then remember that you have that 20% for soul nourishing foods. Remember that you need to nourish your soul. Like, food is meant to be enjoyed. We're all emotional eaters. It's how our species has survived this long. Like, we have to be able to enjoy food. Otherwise, we wouldn't eat it and we would all die out. So be proud, be grateful for your emotional feelings around food, because it's why you're here. And how amazing is it to be able to sit down and have a home-cooked meal that your grandmother made for you? How amazing is it that you can sit down and make yourself a meal? How amazing is it that you can go to a restaurant and have like a world-class meal and enjoy every bite? Or even going and to your whatever favorite hole-in-the-wall spot and that you've been going to forever, that's so comforting. Like, that's amazing that we can have these experiences around food that completely change where we are emotionally. Don't take that away from yourself. You can absolutely experience those positive, comforting emotions around food and also nourish your body and do it all without guilt. So my friend, remember the 80-20. 80% of the time, nourish your body. 20% of the time, nourish your soul. Know that both are equally important. Don't track it like down to a T. Just use it as a guide. Use it as a way of looking at food. And if it's not nourishing your body and if it's not nourishing your soul, you don't need it. So I hope this was really helpful for you. Reach out to me if you have any questions. Send me a DM on Instagram. I'm at The Self Love Lifestyle, and I'll see you next time. When I was a fitness instructor full-time, I was really struggling. I felt in the middle of my class like I just wanted to go home, sit on the couch, and watch TV. And I knew that something wasn't right because I should be able to get through a full class with sustained energy before, during, and after. And I realized the missing piece was how I was starting my morning. I realized that I wasn't getting enough protein in my diet. And I tried oatmeal, didn't work. I tried sprouted grain bread with nut butter, didn't work. I tried tofu scramble, didn't work. The only thing that worked was a plant-based protein shake. Here's why. Because it's a liquid meal, the digestion has already started. Your stomach doesn't have to do as much to break everything down. And so the nutrients are assimilated super quickly, and you get to spend less energy on digestion and keep more of that energy to expend in something like a fitness class. And then you can add all of these other things. Then I started getting really into smoothie boosters. So adding in powdered greens for added energy and antioxidants, and adding in vitamins and minerals. And I just went crazy exploring all the different amazing flavors. I was doing chocolate, cinnamon, coconut, like delicious ice cream flavors, just so amazing. And now for the past few years, I've been starting my day with a protein shake, and I've never looked back. My energy has gone through the roof. My energy is sustained through the day. And so if you struggle with your energy, and if you want to feel like you can conquer the world and you're just not getting that morning routine down right, then definitely try out a protein shake. I have aligned myself with a brand that I trust and that I love and that I use myself. And you can shop all of my favorite protein powders and smoothie boosters on my website, melaniemonaco.com/shop. And if you're like me and you like a good deal, then DM me on Instagram at The Self Love Lifestyle and ask how you can get 20% off, because I'd love to hook you up. All right, friends, here's to an energized and motivated you.
If you felt inspired or moved by what you heard today, then be sure to leave a rating and review. I would love to hear what you're vibing with so I can create more incredible content to help you transform your life with self-love. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram at The Self Love Lifestyle, on Facebook at The Self Love Lifestyle, and you can also sign up for my mailing list and find free downloads, resources, and more at melaniemonaco.com. That's melaniemonaco.com. And be sure to subscribe to the Self Love Lifestyle podcast so you never miss an episode. I'll see you next week, my love.